Hi, hope this finds you well. I just would like to pose a question. If your house was on fire, what one thing would you take with you and what one thing would you leave behind? And it's got me to thinking and got me to remembering when I was a little girl how my pride and joy were my Cindy dolls. I had so many of them, and I had all the furniture. I had the pony, I had the car. The furniture was wonderful. I had a bed, wardrobe, dressing table, all sorts of things. But we lived in a flat above an old people's home where my mum worked. And one of my biggest fears when I was a little girl was there being a fire. And especially as I was really, really scared because I couldn't have got all my Cindy toys and furniture down the stairs. And it did actually become a bit of a problem. So my dad one day said, look, Rachel, what I'll do is I'll get a big piece of plywood and I'll put all the furniture and all the bits and pieces on it and I'll stick it down. So if we have a fire, we can lift it up and we can just carry it down. And he did. And my dad was my hero at that point, real hero. And it really did calm me down. And I never really thought about it again. But in my childlike innocence, what I didn't realise was that the plywood was kind of this big. But the doors in comparison would have been that big. And we would never, ever have got it out anyway. Now, if my house was on fire, what would I take with me? I don't know. Maybe photos that are irreplaceable. Maybe some sentimental jewellery. It would definitely be something of material worth. And what would I want to leave behind? Well, I guess the bin in the kitchen isn't something that I can see myself carrying out in a fire. And the reason I'm asking is because back over the Easter period, I've been listening to a lady on a Friday. She does a 5-minute devotion. And over the Easter period, she was talking about Jesus and his resurrection. And she was comparing lockdown with Jesus' tomb. And she was talking about what Jesus left behind in the tomb and what he took with him. So he left his grave clothes and he took with him his identity. So, you know, if you read in scripture, I've taken this from John because it's fairly clear. And it says, following Jewish burial custom, they wrapped Jesus' body with the spices in long sheets of linen cloth. And then later on, in the account of his resurrection, it says, then Simon Peter arrived and went inside. He also noticed the linen wrappings lying there, while the cloth that had covered Jesus' head was folded up and lying apart from the other wrappings. Now, what she was saying was that he'd left behind his grave clothes and he took with him his identity. And she posed the question, what did you bring into lockdown with you that you want to leave behind? And what would you like to take out with you? And it's a question that I've been pondering ever since. And now we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with lockdown being eased. We've still got a fair way to go, admittedly, but we can kind of see the end of it in sight. What did I bring in with me that I want to leave behind? And what has God been doing during lockdown that I want to take out with me? So posing this question to you, it could be, let's face it, when you think about the start of all of this, fear might have been something that you took in with you. It was very uncertain. It was a very scary time. And there's no condemnation in saying, actually, yes, I was quite fearful. And you, over this time, God's been dealing with that, and you're just going to leave that behind. And you're going to take out a renewed sense of faith with you and trust. It could be that you entered lockdown at a really good point in your life where you had dreams and visions, and you might even have had dreams and visions that you'd forgotten about that were lying dormant, and that during this time God's really been talking to you about them and fleshing them out, putting flesh on bones, so that as you leave lockdown you've got a renewed sense of enthusiasm, zeal, whatever, to go and to actually pursue what God has for you to do. There's all manner of things. For me personally, one of the main things is I took busyness in with me. I took my diary into lockdown with me. And during this time, I've really learnt the value of not being busy, of not cramming my days with 101 things to do. And there's been a whole heap of stuff that God has actually shown me out of that about me. And so during this time, I've really been talking to God about what to leave behind, what He wants me to do, where does He want me to be, and, you know, rather than just filling the days with lots of stuff that I really shouldn't be doing. And so, yes, I still need my diary, practically, but it's not going to be such a focus for me anymore, and it's certainly not going to be so crammed. And there's things that I was doing that God has just asked me just to put down. I suppose a sense of pruning as well. But the thing is with that question, as you ponder it, there are no right and wrong answers. And that's the beauty of it, because it's something that you can work out with God. As you look back and just think, okay, I brought that in, I'm going to leave that. But this, I'm going to take out with me. I do hope you have a really, really fantastic week. And remember, one thing from this is Jesus took out his identity with him. And that's the same for you, because we all have our identity as children of God, much loved. Bye.